Hi everyone, welcome to the Cheryl Witha show, My Kind of People. We are at episode 13. That's crazy, right? I can't believe I've had 13 inspiring people joining us every month since January. So I'm so excited to, as usual, right? I'm excited, right? I'm super excited to bring up Jega. And I'm not going to talk too much about myself. Let's go directly and invite Jega on board. Hi, Jega.
Hi, Cheryl. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's interesting, how we started even speaking. I remember, and every time I look at you, I always remind myself, okay, look at the camera, look at the camera. But I can't help myself. I want to look at you instead, right?
Yep.
I think the first time I had this gentleman message me on LinkedIn, and he says, "Do you know your video, right? If you look at the camera, right, this way, and then this will make your video better." I was like, "Okay, cool. Finally, someone taught me how to how to do that." So my video quality has increased. You have to thank Jega.
Oh, thank you. Welcome for that. so,
So Jega,
so
how are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. It's very busy. This is one of the most busiest period ever, and
Yeah,
we hope it'll stay like this until forever.
that's
so
a good thing, right? Being busy.
yeah, it is. So it's a blessing. I thank God for everything that is going on, and I think because I think people are also tired and they want to move on. So
Yes.
despite whatever the thing is, they say, okay, let's move on. Today we had a call from one of the a major bank who only believed in virtual only. And then today they
Wow.
called, and then they said in Langkawi, this is physical, right? Yeah, definitely. So they are probably the last bank in the country to go physical.
So you're saying that people actually wanted to stay virtual
No, they were forced to be in virtual until like June.
because of the situation. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
finally, when the floodgates open,
Straight away lah.
we always say that we are going to have a hybrid, like it's going to be a virtual and physical.
But no,
But
right?
for the next 6 months, it's going to be all physical. And then probably they get normalized, and then they get something, and then they might
Yeah,
consider.
yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think it's just because of the whole hype of opening up that people are excited to go back face to face, or do you think this is going to be something that continues? Like, I mean, a lot of companies have taken away the work from home, and a lot of these things have gone back to what it was pre-COVID.
Yeah.
So do you think it's gonna? What's your thoughts on this?
I think it's for now it's the Malays say lepas geram. So it's for for now
Lepas
it's like,
kandang kind of situation,
yeah, like
right?
tantang, let me go. Yes, this is his freedom. But I think from a participant perspective, they will prefer
Yeah.
physical.
Yes.
But
Yes.
from the company perspective, they might force two ways of doing it, virtual and physical, especially for those kind of like development kind of programs and all that.
Mm.
uh, or compliance based stuff and all that, you don't need to be physical for compliance based things and all. So yeah, for now it's a feeding frenzy.
Definitely. But that's good news for all the trainers and training providers. Am I right? That's really
Yeah,
good
yeah.
news.
That is a good news, but there are other bad news which is happening out there. I hope I
we,
don't have
we
to.
will come to that bad news as we go on. Let's not start on those grounds. I don't want to irritate you or any other viewers yet. We'll irritate them in a short while. So
No,
let's kind of peel Jega, right? Like a little onion, right? And the thing about you, Jega, is there's so many facets of who you are. And you look from one side, you look like this serious guy, but from what I heard about you, what I've experienced, you're not really a serious guy. Not just that, there's like, we'll get into that in a short while. But because of that, usually when I ask this question, I always ask people, okay, can you tell me about yourself from the eyes of your closest friend? But for you, I'm going to make it a little bit different because of the uniqueness of who you are. Okay,
all right.
so can you tell me from the eyes of your children, how would they describe you? Tell me.
Okay, this is honest, huh? Weirdo. because there are some things that I do with them, and then they said, "Pa, what's wrong with you? You know that's like it's the stupidest joke ever." Then I said that, but 15 years ago you laughed at it. you know?
So you're reusing the same joke.
No, it's just that some of the stuff, like a kid, you do like that. I'm a lamppost, and then they laugh at it. But when they're 17 years old, you go to I'm a lamppost. It's like you're a weird character. So I
Maybe that's
tell
just
them,
a teen phase, right? The young
yeah.
adult teen phase.
So I say this thing. I say you have grown. I haven't.
You haven't grown. I think for parents, right, we always see the child is like they stay in a certain age and never move from there.
Yeah, yeah, correct.
That's like me when people ask me how old I am. For a long time, I said I was 28 and never moved from
Yeah, I think after MCO you became 29.
there. Hopefully. So, if we compare, right, how your kids would describe you and your colleagues, the people who work with you, how would they describe? Was there much of a difference?
My colleagues, wow, how would they describe?
The people who work very closely with you, who really know you very well, day in, day
I
out.
think, okay, I think my colleagues have seen a much more wider spectrum of me. They have seen me in the most happy, funny, fun, jumping around, standing on the chair in the office. Because once Zairo and I, we were both standing on the chair and we were using this noodles, the swimming pool noodles thing. We were fighting like that, and they're like, these are two directors of the company, they're fighting in
You
the.
see, if you had employees from the TikTok generation, we call it, it would be on TikTok already.
Oh yeah, no, that one all I tell them, please guys, we have a professional facade.
And now you've spoken about this live. You're in
Oh
trouble,
yeah,
man.
it's your life, okay. But you know what? That's how it is because
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the classroom, uh, how I am right now, that's probably how I am. But in essence, I'm actually a very introvert. I'm an introvert person,
Cannot
which
believe
may
that.
shock people. Yes, I'm introvert because in public settings you can see that I will keep quiet. I don't talk too much. If I find you there, I'll probably go and talk to you, and we're talking about everything else there. But to go and meet somebody and just say hi, hello, hey, how are you, and all the hey, come, let's do a selfie. Sometimes like, whenever people go for conferences and all that, they take selfie, 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 and then they post. You will never find that on my posting, very rarely, unless there's something really meaningful I want to.
Yeah.
Even at the recent maps conference, I took a lot of
Yes,
photos.
yeah.
I didn't post one also. Then I'm asking myself, what's wrong with you? Why, you're some kind of communist or what?
So are you saying you're a very selective person? You select who gets to be on your feed.
Oh yeah, yeah, very, very. I'm very, very selective as to like the close people are very, very selective, and I feel so blessed. One thing I am so blessed about is that I think I have good people around me all the time,
Yeah.
and you being one of them as well.
Oh, thank you.
So
that
somehow,
that is high compliment coming from you, definitely.
somehow the vibration of the universe sends me the right people, and if the wrong people come, I just have to let them pass. They just pass.
Talking about who you are, what kind of person you are, right? So we have this WhatsApp group. So when I started this live show, the Me series early on, right, we were talking about how about current affairs and things like that. I kind of got all these people who were on my show on this Me series family WhatsApp group. Okay, and I posted about you coming on the show. So I just have to read this to you. I
Okay,
won't tell you who, will let you guess later on if you know who said all these things, right? So
okay,
I just posted and said, I have a very intriguing guy coming to speak about this. And I said, he's the most principled person I know. See the comments from there. He is amazing, Cheryl. We worked with him before. My team really enjoyed his training, mostly activities and games, and 100% objective achieved. One of the best minds, someone else says. And then someone said, looking forward to learn from the master himself. I was like, wow, very famous, huh, this Jegathees?
okay. I'm just a messenger. The message is coming from the sky.
Mastermind, master of mind. So we're going to pick this master of minds today a little. But before we go into the Jega we see here on the screen, right? I always like to dial back to the past because I think where we were kind of tells us where we are going and where we will go in the future, right? So
All right.
tell me a little about Jega as a child.
Okay. Before that, is
Yeah.
your WhatsApp on your screen? Is it?
Mm,
Or is it? No.
oh, yes, it is. Hold on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
So that's the part my colleagues find me, where I look for the smallest thing and make, tell people to just change that. But it's okay. And now we got it. Yeah, it's clear.
I think I'm so used to listen to it, I've blocked it out of my
Yeah,
mind.
sort of. He got into your one of your background sound.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
like the aircon sound. I don't know you can hear.
No, no, I can't hear that. That's okay.
Yeah.
So,
So, what was Jega like as a child?
so as a child, okay, as a child, I was very much a bit of a loner, pretty much
Okay.
a loner. I have like one or two friends. My secondary school, I think I had one friend. I'm still trying to locate him. I can't find him. His name is Wu Chi Wai. If you ever Wu Chi Wai is out there, please find me. I'm trying
Shout
to.
out to Wu Chi Wai. Which
Yeah,
school? Give people some direction at least.
Sekolah Kebangsaan Jalan Pasar Satu. you know, that the co-ed school, not the boys' school. The
Where?
where
Where is
uh,
the school?
is in Pasar Road,
Okay.
Jalan Pasar. So
Jalan.
currently the school is like, I think they had like now they have an entire 26 people in the entire school, because uh, yeah, from standard
And
one
you're
it is.
saying it very proudly, right?
It's a matter of time. It's a very old school from 1930s, but
Okay.
surrounding area, it's right next to TRX, that school.
Yeah.
So the surrounding area is all developing, so there's no more housing area there. So slowly the numbers are actually dwindling. So I had a friend at that point, somewhere around my standard five, standard six time. We used to hang around. There are other people. I have friends as well, but I was very much told to go and study. That was my mom's thing. Study, study, study. Make sure you get good A's. You'll get a good job, and then they will always point to those people who are, this classic story, point to those people who are actually cleaning the street and all that. If you don't study, you'll end up
You
becoming like
become
that.
like that. Oh my
Yeah,
god, we overuse that too much.
yeah. So it was that. Academically, I think I did okay, well, as from school. And then I went in for secondary school. I went to one of the best school ever, Victoria Institution,
Uh-huh,
VI,
uh-huh.
right? So along with VI comes the some level of air of being a VI boy. Uh,
So has
and,
the air deflated or is still there?
well, it is sort of deflated, but it comes back whenever you meet somebody from St. John or RMC and all that. So then it comes back out. So
And
out
anyone
to
here from VI? You have one gang here.
yeah. Captain Shan is from VI, but he was so much more senior to me,
Ah,
many, many years senior to
okay,
me.
okay,
Uh,
okay.
so in VI school, I was there until lower six. VI was good, when secondary school, that's where I sort of like opened up a little bit more, got involved in societies and all that, got a lot of friends and all. But yet today we have our VI boys, our batch WhatsApp group, and I'm the most silent one also over there. It's just, like I'm not very busy in any of the WhatsApp groups. If I have something to say, I just say. But
So
other
let me
than that,
ask you this question. Are you like Beyonce? You have like a Sasha Fierce in you. So when you come online or when you do trainings, then your Sasha Fierce comes out, and then after that you put it into a box and keep it back.
I think so. It's a professional version of split personality. You know, that's how I put it. So it's
Okay.
a different personality that comes out, and Like for example, over dinner, the thing that I fear most, not to say fear lah, it's like, okay, if my clients are actually watching this, the truth is out. When I'm supposed to go and eat with the director of the company and all the seniors, sit at their table for dinner, I, I'm not really enjoying the food because I am eating in a way where I must be very appropriate and I have to say the right things at the right time and all that. And basically, sometimes after that, after the whole thing is finished, I'll
You're
ask the guys,
hungry.
"Eh, let's go out." I never had a dinner
That's when
yet.
you really eat the food. This is like women who go on dates, right? And they eat very little because they don't want to show the date that they're eating a lot.
Correct, exactly like that.
Okay, okay. Let's just say hi. Bhavani and GD are here. Good evening to both of you. Definitely, good evening. Nice to see both of you here. Very interesting people themselves. Bhavani with gratitude, and GD is always mentoring young people. I love that about him. So, when it comes to Jega, right? Lately, we always put games and Jega together, right? Games, right? Simulation, not stimulation. I know. Inside joke. Probably everyone knows now. But still, it was quite funny. I was sitting in class when I got that message. I was like, oh my God, Cheryl Witha. So, yeah. Mala says, I'm here trying to be introverted. Mala, how is that even possible with you, Mala? Mala says she's trying to be introverted.
He will fail miserably in trying to be
Correct,
intro.
correct. She's like me. We can't claim to be introverted. It's far from the truth. And Bhavani says you can't take games out of Jega. So, Jega, can you share with us? And the questions I'm going to ask you today, right? If they are a bit different, it's because it's you. That's why I know I can ask you these questions, right?
All right.
Share with us one game you feel that depicts your world today. And share with us what the game is about after that
Well,
and why.
a game that depicts our world today would be
Your world, not our world, your world.
my world. Okay, it's not a commercial game. It's a game that we created. It's called Eastern Trading Company. So it's a
Okay.
game about six countries trying to trade with one another on some commodities. And the idea is actually to get the results that they want and build a relationship at the same time, which is a tough
Okay.
thing because you're trying to create a win-win. And win-win is one of the most difficult thing to achieve. Uh, in reality, but it's the most easiest thing to be preached on. Everybody can preach about win-win. Oh, you got to have
Yeah.
win-win. But the biggest thing about win-win is, if I help you win, will you help me win? So,
Mm.
in fact, tomorrow I'm running a session on that again. So that is a game that we created, and that's something that I feel it really depicts my personal world. Where, because my personal world is all about creating partnership. We get projects and we work with a lot of wonderful partners. Bhavani is being one of them. Thanks, Bhavani, for tuning in. And few other trainers that are very, very. We are in sync, and they stick with us during the thick and thin. So that's how to put it.
Okay, Malaysia is trying to get into your inner circle. Do you have some secret society that you're part of, or you're founder of the secret society? What inner circle is she talking
If I
about?
say it, it won't be secret anymore.
That's a good point. Yes, duh, right? But okay, talking about this world, right? So since you're on building partnerships and all that, so I'm assuming Mala really can easily get into the circle, providing it's not a secret society, lah. That part I'll leave behind the scenes. Mala, you'll have to speak to Jega about that.
All right. Okay.
So we know that when it comes to, you said win-win, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this question: is there such a thing as win-win?
Yes. There is
How?
a.
In
To,
your world, how does that win-win work?
okay. First of all, you need to be genuine enough to allow others to win first. Win-win
Okay.
happens by first you taking the higher ground to allow others to win, and then asking others to let you win as well. So it's a two-way street. It's
So
never.
giving people that space to win first. So would you say you're losing them at
No,
that point of time?
no, it's like this. Like imagine the lift door opens, and
Mm.
you let the other person go in first. By them going in first, I'm not losing. I'm just
Doesn't take
letting you.
anything from you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when let that person go in, and then I'm gonna get in anyway. But I am letting you go in with the confidence that you will not press the
Let
button
me.
and put me out. So
You know, that's very interesting because today when I did my posting, Casey was talking about just that, right? The lift and how people are always pressing the lift to close.
correct, correct. Oh yeah, I will tell you one thing that happened. This was many many years ago. So it was in Filio Damansara. I know the place. Okay, so Filio Damansara, if you look at it, the lift is actually inside this corridor. So when you're walking, you can only walk straight. Because there's a
Yes,
wall. So you
yes.
can
And then
see
there's
me
a
coming.
stairs on the
Yeah,
left, right?
stairs there,
Yeah.
right. So I'm walking there. That guy looked at me, and then he looked down as though like I dropped my contact lens, kind of thing. So I know how lifts operate because my background is mechanical engineering. So I use my mechanical engineering ability. The moment the lift closed, I put my finger on the outer door and pried it open. So lifts, they have a mechanism where if the door is not fully closed, it will not move up. So I
Okay.
practically jammed that guy inside the lift.
Isn't it
So
dangerous? You put your finger there.
no, no, the lifts will never crush your finger. The force of lift will never crush your finger, because
So
there's
all the
always
things you watch in movies are not true. Okay.
no, 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 no. So the outer door you can see, you can actually pry it open a bit. So what I
Yeah,
did was
yeah.
I just pried it open a bit, so the lift did not move up. Right. So then after that, the guy had to press open. So when he pressed open, then he saw me, and he pretended like as though
He
I'm some
couldn't
kind of
see
ghost
you.
or something, never existed or what. So I went in, I felt like, yes. So yes, I believe in win-win. But if you try anything funny, I let you win first, you will find another side of things. Right? So that's
Aha, that goes to Mala's question. Mala has just asked the question that you're kind of trying to answer. She said, had there been a situation where you let another in, they close the door on you, life circumstances? If yes, how do you find your way back to practice win-win again?
okay. This one is something that I learned from my former boss, Purpal Singh. I used to work for Purpal Singh, and one thing I learned from him is that he said, um, because there was one incident where um, somebody needed some help, and he did the help, and that person misused it. So I asked him, how do you feel about it? And one thing he said is that just because one person did that, that is not going to change my principle on what I need to do.
That's a good
So
point.
yes, there are times where sometimes you do something good and you are going to be disappointed. The whole process of win-win is this: be ready for disappointments as well. But that should not change the way we operate. The problem in today's world is what
Yeah,
happens is that you go through one experience that, oh, from now on, I'm not going to do this. Why make the conclusion over
yeah.
one incident, right?
We make that our reality for the rest of our life. Like, this is how
Yeah,
everyone is going to be like.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. And it's a false reality.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just talking about this in class today, my student used the word pseudo environment. We create that pseudo environment, like an alternate reality, and often
Uh-huh.
it's negative, right? It's a
Yeah.
negative version of our experiences in our life, and we think that's the sum of everything because that's our experience, even if it's just one person that did that to us, right? That's
Yeah,
a very,
because
very
the
good
thing
point.
is, it's selective. The pseudo environment is like you selectively stack it up. Like you look at one incident, and then there could be other good things, but we are so
Yeah,
focused on the wrong thing, then we find the next wrong thing, then you find the next wrong thing, and you put it together and look at it. Look at it. Three times it happened to me.
yeah, yeah.
But
Probably
if
our
we
perception kind of like lines our path towards that journey, and
yeah,
maybe we are the ones putting that in place, right?
correct, correct,
Think
correct.
about it, like self-fulfilling prophecy. We do
Yes, right.
that
That's
too.
the word. That's the word. Self fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. Very interesting, definitely. But how do you like? I mean, yes, this is what you said, Pertpal, right?
Yeah,
Ah, very interesting guy as well.
yeah,
Now it makes a lot of sense, right? How you guys are also similar in terms of the way you think when you speak or hear Pertpal speaking, right? You have to go like, huh. Like it makes you ponder and think about circumstances and life in general, right? But
true.
talking about this win-win, right? Immediately, how do you deal with it? Because I mean, we are only human, right? Emotion-wise, like how do you calm yourself down?
Okay. Let
Like,
go.
just let go.
Let go. It's gone. It's gone, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to help you.
Mm.
Oh, that's Divya, my cousin. Hi, hello. All right.
Hi, Divya.
Okay, good. All right. So it's just not going to come back. Okay, this happened um, last weekend. I could not join my son and my wife, and they went for hiking. My daughter stayed back to take care of the grandma. So they went hiking, and they were on in the middle of this path. One dude came, very elderly guy, and said like, "Stand on the side, don't stand on the road on the road lah." So my wife like, where else to stand. Then she just continued her conversation with a friend, and my son, he heard about it. He wanted to go and get even out with this person, and he wanted to move. So my wife said, so come back here, come back here, come back here, come back here. So we had this conversation at home. So I said, if you wanted to get even with that person, your opportunity was there, that window. Once the opportunity has passed, it's gone. You just let
Yeah,
it go.
let it
You're
go.
not
Yeah.
going to catch that again. So likewise, this has happened. There was once a trainer. So far in 15 years, it only happened to us once. We
Mm.
hired a trainer, and the trainer actually for a particular client, because we don't do the course, and the client is a very close client, and they said, "Can you source a trainer?" And the person actually did the job. And the following a few months later, the person was doing a job directly. Now, these kind of horror stories, you hear it in the training industry, but thankfully, it never really happened a lot to us. But when that happened, we just said, like, this is not right. Then she asked, "I'm very sorry. I didn't know how to handle this and all that. Or how do we handle it?" I said, "No, don't confuse the client. You've already gone direct, right? Go ahead and deal with the client. Okay, but just don't do this again." And simple, we don't work with the person doesn't contact us, it's fine. I mean, in a public setting, when I meet the person, I'll say hi and all that. But just because one trainer did that, you don't
Yeah.
behave in a suspicious attitude towards all the
Towards
people.
everyone.
Right,
Yeah, that's a good way to live. GD says something I learned today from Jega. True test of character is to live win-win when promoted to positions where win-lose is possible. That's a very important point, right? So it's not going to always be win-win for us per se, but we go with the win-win attitude, hoping. And like you said, right, the universe attracts. We attract good
yeah,
things. We
yeah.
attract what we put out. So we want to attract the right energy. If we put out that losing spirit from the very beginning and wanting to hurt someone else, then it will just come back to us.
Yes,
So I
correct.
really agree with you on that. We have a few people who are joining us today. We have Shireen John, Malaveli, Divya, Lakshmi, Arumugam, GD. Thank you so much for joining all of us. GD has a question for you. How would your life be different if you stop making negative judgmental assumptions about people you encounter?
No, you will continue making negative judgment about people you encounter. That's the reality of life. So,
Yeah, yeah. As much as we don't want to admit it, right?
and I'll admit, I have negative judgments on people. The
Yeah.
difference is this: do I act on it or hold back from acting? And that is the reality of everyone. We all have negative judgments on somebody. The difference is that we are just not acting on it. We are
True.
postponing. We are waiting for things to settle down and all that. So I guess that's how it is. So if you say that, I don't know, maybe am I portraying like I don't have negative judgment? No, I'll admit to you, I have. I have
Yeah,
negative.
yeah.
uh, but that's natural because of your past experience.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like for example, if you had somebody who drives a green color Proton Vira Aerobag who borrowed $2,000 from you and have not paid it back, every time you find another green Vira Aerobag, that will come
Your
back.
brain, your brain reacts, right?
Yeah. And if a person comes out of it, you will feel like, I don't think I want to trust this person yet. You know? So
That's a
I
good
think it
point.
will happen. It will happen. So
Yeah.
what you
Yeah.
just do is hold back and keep the judgment to yourself and just move on from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Wani says hi, and Eve
Hi
says that.
dear, how are you?
So you come across as a person that really values your principles and ethics, and how important are these to you, right? Your ethics or your principles in life. How important are these to you?
I think you see, but ethics is one, principles is another one, because
Yeah.
it need not be the
Correct.
same. Okay, all right. Principles are something that I hold on to because
Good.
it's
Yeah.
useful to me. But the
Yes.
day those principles are no longer giving me the result that I want, then I am free to change the principles. I don't have to live by
Definitely.
that principle. Okay, but ethics is a different thing. Ethics is about
Yes.
going to bed and having a good night's sleep.
Yeah. The conscience, right?
Yeah, your conscience. So very early in our thing, the good thing about me is I came from another organization. I said I work with Pal Singh and his partner Sazali. Okay, back then there was two of them. They were my early day mentor, Sazali Muhammad Taib and Pal Singh. And one thing I learned from Sazali is about the value of ethics. I think he is the kind of person who will let go stuff. Like, it's okay. It's not important. It's okay. If it's meant, it will come to us. It's like that. So and I had a few other friends along the way who just believe that, like, uh, send in the proposal, and then you do your best. If it's
Mm.
meant to be for you, it will come to you. If it did not come, no big deal. That way. So the ethics part is that this brings to a whole different level of question. I mean, concerns that I have today is that the ethics are eroding at a very, very high pace.
Agree.
In the training industry and all that, in the last 2 years, all kind of horror stories, because people are desperate. So this
Yeah.
is where it is. When things are desperate, do you let go of ethics? And I tell
Mm.
you this, you need to trust on a higher intelligence out there. Now, this might sound spiritual. If it sounds spiritual, yes, it is.
It
Right?
is. Yes, it is definitely.
Right? I'm not going to paint a different picture. Trust the universe. If you believe in God, trust God. If you don't believe in God, trust the universe as a law. Okay, if you stick by your principles and you keep sharpening your craft in what you do, you keep coming up with new things, you keep working and becoming your best, slowly you find that your environment will actually change and you will start attracting the right business. All right. So recently we closed one major contract for an organization where usually it's difficult to get into this organization. All right, it's very
Mm.
difficult. But the inquiry came, we put our proposal, they called for presentation, did the presentation, and when we do the kind of presentation, we go without any expectation. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't come, it's okay. And that kind of peace and prosperity kind of mindset, if it's meant to be, it'll come to you. Just like how your
Yeah.
wife came to you or your husband came to you. It's meant to
Correct, correct. Right time, right place, right everything, right? Everything has to work in sync. So, what do you say to people who say, "Hey, nowadays because I've heard this, we've invited some people to Inti, right, to speak. Not me personally, this person, because I really went through the people I bring into Inti.
okay.
But we've had people who come into Inti, for example, where I work, right, and industry people who tell us that you guys are in education, okay? You don't know how it's out there in the jungle, out there in the industry, right? Ethics is not something that is possible in the world of business if you want to make profits. If profits is your main goal, we are not doing charity out there. What's your thoughts on this?
Okay, first I will say bullshit. Well, that's my first answer. The reason is because you can live with uh, above decent living. I'm
Yeah,
not talking about becoming super rich or what.
yeah.
Above decent living,
Really.
you can actually live that by following ethics.
Mm,
Okay, there is still room for it. There are people who are good people out there, and you can. Now, I agree on certain industry, it is a bit more tougher. Okay,
mm,
because the entire industry is itself is already rotten to the core. It's really difficult for people to do
yeah.
things. But yet, if you want to still stick to it, you know what? You don't have to be in that industry. Yeah, I
Mm,
mean, I'll tell you one thing that happened. I was actually selling industrial pumps. For 2 years, I was actually a sales engineer selling industrial pumps. And there was one time I went to this place, and the pump was this is actually a huge pump. It's like 2 stories high, and they call it submersible pump. So the sump is actually underground. The pump is on the floor. So the tank is down there. And then this person called us up. He's the one of the engineers there, and said that the pump is not working. And so we said, okay, I said, I cannot see anything now. We have to call the transport and crane it out and take it to the workshop. So they took it to the workshop and all that. And the guys in the workshop are checking it out. And he's told me, actually, the one, not a thing. I just tightened the thing. The impeller is hitting against the casing. Inside the pump, there is like a propeller thing.
yeah.
It's hitting against the casing, so it has damaged the casing and damaged the impeller. But if you loosen it and bring it down a little bit, it will be okay. And I'm like, how in the world did you know that? That the thing is stuck that way. Then he said, no, I was the one who did that. Okay. I was fresh, after university, and I really didn't understand why would you do that? Like, I'm so stupid, like, why would you want to do that? Why are you damaging things? You're not happy with
Your
something,
own
is it?
stuff, right? Yeah.
Right. So then later I went and spoke to my boss, and my boss said, he's expecting something. Lah. So I said, like, oh, okay. So I went to him. I went and talked to him. Then boss told me, lah, you see how you want to handle it, lah, whether, what is the guy expecting or what. So I went there. Then I sat down there and talking to him and all. And then I said, like, well, if you want something, I think we can arrange something for you, lah. And after that, I tell you, I had this, like, the kind of feeling, the back of your head, the hair standing up, and like a chill kind of feeling, like something just was present over there, some ghost or something like that. So that kind of feeling, and then I suddenly got fear, like, what if got CCTV here? Are they recording? Anti-corruption agency is here or something, gonna pounce on you, and so you offered bribery and all this thing or what. That night, I really could not sleep.
Mm,
It was terrible. I really cannot sleep that night. And I called one of my friend, who is actually a trainer as well. This was before I got into training, and I told him, I call him brother. His name is Vasu. So I said, brother, this thing happened and all this thing. I don't know how do I handle this and all that. And he told me this now. Jega, there's one thing that two things can happen. One is you stick to your principles. And because your principles are so powerful and all that, your aura and all that will change the people around you, and they will be
mm,
like you as well. That's the first possibility. The second possibility is the vibration around you will slowly come in, and soon you will be one of them
just
as well.
like them.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he said, the second one is more likely than the first one.
Yes.
So I tendered my resignation. After
Yeah.
a few weeks, I just went, I tendered my resignation. I went for one interview with a training company. I somehow I knew I want to be a trainer somewhere. So I went and I went for the interview. In the first interview, I had a feel. I know I am going to get it, but she said, don't resign yet and all that. But I resigned anyway.
You really didn't like that job.
No, yeah, because and I jumped. I dropped from a salary of that time I was earning 2,200. From 2,200, I dropped to a salary of 1,450.
My gosh, that's a huge,
Yeah,
huge, huge change. Yeah.
and I was already married that time, no kids yet, married. All right,
Okay.
but I spoke to my wife about it, Vani.
Mm.
She's there now, and said like, then I said, and she's also into ethics and principles. She said like principles. If it's not thing, drop to that thing. But I had a commission scheme and all that, I could make up for it or what. But that's what I say. When you say you cannot, when people say no, in the real world you cannot and all that, it's not cannot. You are not resourceful enough. That's it. Don't say
Lovely.
that, right?
That's a good one. So today, if you say one person that truly embodies the spirit of ethics, right, that you know personally, who would it be and why?
One person. Actually, there are a lot of people. Like,
But
one
if you
person,
can name one person lah
one person
for
will be
us.
my partner Zairo. Zairo will be one person that I would really um, admire in that, because he's very clear. He said like, at the end of the day, whatever food that I put on the table, my children are eating, and I need to make sure that food that they eat is halal, and
Yeah.
I'm responsible for it. So I admire him a lot for that. And I think between us, we don't have to discuss some things. So like
Yeah.
sometimes when it comes to pricing, some people will ask for a discount. Then we will tell, let me talk to the other partner, and then he will tell them, let me talk to the other partner.
The other partner.
But when it comes to this, we don't have to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I know what my partner would say. It's a no. And in throughout our career as Accordia training has been around now for 15 years now. We only had three of that encounter, three of such an encounter, all of it which say we said no. The third one we said no and we got the job anyway.
Wow.
Actually, that one
So
is
that
because,
means your aura was stronger than their vibration.
yeah, because the thing is, it's a committee decision. This
Yeah,
dude
yeah,
was just trying his luck with us.
yeah.
Oh,
Definitely.
yeah.
So Sharon Jones says, very inspiring message on principles, especially for my young son watching this.
Oh, thank you.
Definitely. And the world they live in today, right? It's crazy. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 years or so. What they see around us, the question of ethics now is, I mean, if you think about it, let's answer Divya's question first. Then I have one
Okay.
question for you,
Right.
which constantly plays in my mind, especially after I watch this TV series Blacklist. I'm going to ask you the question in a short while. Okay, Divya says, how do we draw the line between sticking to your own principles and being street smart?
I think there is no line. Sticking to your principle is being street smart. It should be in one place. So
Yeah,
it's like sometimes we say, my family life, my health life, my spiritual life is here. And someone once, another friend of mine, his name is Ravi,
mm,
whose wife is the musician who is putting up some title tracks and all that. So he told me the reason why we have all this conflict is because we put spiritual as one part of our life. He said, why
yeah,
don't we change the picture? Why don't you just draw a bigger picture called spiritual? Within that is your health, your family, your business, your
everything.
finance, and all that. So, and spiritual here nothing to do with going to temple, church, mosque, or rolling on the
Correct.
floor. Everything, okay?
Agree.
You don't, you probably not even praying, it's okay, that's fine. Like you say, it's not how many times you pray, it's what you do between two prayer times, that's more important, right?
It's your
So,
everyday life is what you practice.
right.
It's how you
So
treat
I would
people.
say to Divya's question is that, uh, what if being street smart is living by the principles and ensuring that we don't get into trouble, because that's also being street smart. Of course, you can make a lot of money if you break ethics. I can guarantee you can make a lot of money,
Mm.
and there are many people who have done it very
But
well.
at what cost, right?
No, sometimes and no cost to them. But the risk is this, that one day, if something happens, and the thing is this, you have trained yourself that you can only see growth through a malicious way of doing things.
Yeah.
And you can't see it otherwise. You can't
Mm.
see it differently. So,
Agree, agree. I think they always say this as well, right? One is how you approach things, but also the sins of the father will repeat on their children. So, like what your partner said, right? They want everything to be halal, what their children eat, because in the future, whatever you do is going to fall onto your kids,
yeah.
maybe through your teachings and karma, depending on what you believe in, right?
But there's also another thing, I want to say. You can live with principle. That doesn't mean your children may follow 100%. That's
Yeah,
also
yeah.
another thing.
You can just hope and pray, right? And
Yeah,
try
you
to
can
guide
just
them the
hope and
best you
pray.
can.
You can hope and pray.
Yeah, yeah. So, Jega's kids, I hope you all are listening to what your father is saying.
Oh, we got a lot of sometimes, breakfast time, all got a lot of intellectual, high level discussions all going on there about what is right and wrong and all that. But I think sometimes we just allowed them to explore. But I'm thankful that, I mean, we've been blessed that Vani and I have two great kids. So far as what I can see, they,
You guys heard, from what your father can see.
because what is observable only I can make a conclusion.
Yeah,
So what
yeah,
is observable, they are great kids.
yeah.
They don't believe in taking things that doesn't belong to them.
To them.
And I think that's the most important thing, when you don't feel entitled to something that doesn't belong to them. And a very young age, there was one time, they had like, this was Chinese New Year, this lion dance in the malls and all that. So this lion was giving all these oranges and all that. So they got two oranges, he had one orange and she had one orange. And then this one Chinese boy there, where he was very short, so he couldn't reach the orange. He was like that. Then they looked at each other, they gave. And then they very proudly came and told us, what we did today, what we did today. This boy did not have orange, and we gave one of the orange there, and we're going to share this orange. And they felt like they were very good and all that. We say, wow, that's very good, fantastic, and keep encouraging them.
That's good. That's good. I mean, it always makes us very proud when such things happen, right?
Yeah, yeah, true.
Don't know what happened. But since the day we met, I spoke to you about this, right? I said I wanted to bring you on the show to talk about your parenting and homeschooling. And since you brought it up, this is just my channel to ask you about it, right? Do you think that how your children are today is to do with your parenting style, and specifically you bringing them out of that traditional school learning? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Okay, I think there's two parts. One is, I would say, parenting style, but for that part of parenting, I think a larger credit goes to my wife, Vani. Okay, I think in terms of, if they are following ethics, moral, and all these things, I think the credit goes to her, because she's seeing them most of the time, and she sacrificed her life, her career, in order to make sure that homeschooling was a success. So one part, if your children's growth, parents are one side responsible for it. But there is another side of children. Okay, this is where the spiritual talk is. From a religious perspective, from a Hindu perspective, we call that vasanas. Okay, the word is vasana. Vasana is inherent
Traits.
qualities that
Okay.
child is born with. So you see,
With.
some kids, when they are born, at the age of 3, they show, like, they can play certain musical instrument, thing and all that. So they are born with certain inherent qualities and all that. So along with the inherent qualities, some may have that towards that other side of things as well. All right, the negative side also. So for parents, what we have to do is, we need to identify that and find a way to channel it. But at the
Mm,
end of the day, is this: your child becomes successful is because of your child. If your child failed, is because of your child as well. The reason why we are as parents is because if they are like turtles, they don't really need us. Turtles, when they hatch out, they can live on their own already. They don't need parents and all that. Okay, if a human being can actually if they were like, imagine they were like pods on a tree, suddenly the pod grew and all that, then one guy just tore open and walked out of it, you don't need parents anymore. All right.
I wish it was simple as that. It isn't.
It
From
is, it is.
experience.
So the reason why we have parents is because they need nurturing. They are very weak. They are very vulnerable. They need the protection. That's what we are doing. We can put in all the values. We can put in all the principles. We can teach them everything we can. But after one point, let go, and it's their journey. That's it.
Good point. Very, very good point. So, since we only have 9 minutes left, I want us to end with, I'm going to give you some words, like two words, and I want you to continue the sentence. Is that okay?
Okay. All right.
Nothing very hard. It's
Okay.
all from your world. It's all from your world. Everything I'm asking you about is from the things I've noticed about you, and what we'll tell you the words, then you should know from there.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Okay.
Okay. Disruption is
Expected.
okay. To gamify is
Life.
women are
Wonderful.
uh, your character,
Unpredictable.
absence of heat.
Cool.
I took that from one of your posts in case you didn't
Okay.
realize it.
All right.
Okay, this one is a bit terbalik, right? So dot 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 is a force of humankind.
Dot 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 is a force of humankind.
You fill in the blanks, anything you want.
Dot 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 is a force of humankind. Men and women.
Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah,
So
because I still
just
believe in men and women, and I don't care what the world thinks, and I will repeat it over and
I
over.
read your post on this.
Right? I still believe, and whoever is out there want to disagree, go ahead, disagree. I'm fine with it. I still believe there's only two gender, male, female. That's it. All right. So
I have to publicly agree with you on this. I always feel there's a lock and there's a key, if
right.
you know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean.
All right. Yeah.
I
No, but,
completely
but
agree with that.
I'm fine with, sometimes people having a different preference. That's a different story. Different
Yeah.
preference is another thing, and I think we should respect that. Okay.
I mean, preferences, what you do behind doors, I don't really care, to be
That's right. Yeah.
honest. Yeah, what you do behind doors is up to you. I mean, people have their most weird things, that's up to them. But yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. Okay.
there's one more there's one more thing I noticed, right? You wrote
Okay.
a poem recently. So Jega is like many things. One of it is this creative poet. So you I mean, I would like you to share with us, right? You wrote one poem about just one more step, one another day. You want to tell us about that poem before we leave today?
One more step, another day. Oh my God, which one
Yeah.
is this? Now
Just
I'm
one more step, one another day.
okay because I have written a lot of stuff, and sometimes these things are flowing from another dimension. I don't even know where it's coming from. So I am going to have a bit of a challenge trying to locate them. Let me just see if I can, I can pick it up or not. Hang on, huh?
I think I can read it to you. Wait, where did I take it? It was very recently, I think. A few days ago, maybe.
Okay. What's the thing? Just another day. Okay, fine. Yeah,
Yes.
that was last year. Okay, another day.
11 months ago, my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, another
Yeah,
step
last year,
forward.
sorry.
Yeah, whether the
I thought it was a
strength
few days ago.
I sought to unfold a new story only to rewrite history. Okay. Okay. This was a very okay. I went through something during that time, and um, and I had to weather the storm of that
Mm.
point with everything that was going on. It's related to the pandemic, the chaotic things and all that, and I stick to my choice. I think I believe in my personal choice. My medical choice is my business, my life, my body. So I had made some choices during that time, and the world could not accept that, and there was a lot of branding on that, and what it's all about and all that. And I just felt like, there's no point fighting the world, and we just took it another day, just another step, another day. And that's how that thing came about. In fact, what we just wanted to do is, at that point, sometimes whenever things are just bogging you down,
Yeah.
and you find like you don't have it, you do not know what to do at that point, maybe you don't have to do anything. Just take another step, another day, and
Yeah.
sooner or later you will finally come out of it. Because at times they say, a wound is healed in two ways. That which is not been healed through medicine will heal through time. So that was what it was all about.
Okay, very interesting. And I think that's a perfect way to end our show today, because just one more step another day, I think that that really pictures the whole 2 years that we went through the lockdown, and now having to deal with all kinds of funny things happening. I'm sure you all have heard of the HRDF drama or saga, and I think we
What's
did-
that?
we
Is that a new fast food in town or what? So, well, even
yes.
that, okay, for those of them, friends out there who are so upset about what's happening in the training industry, just another step, another day.
Another day.
You have to understand,
We'll
you
fight to
have,
live another day, right?
yeah,
Somehow.
I think most of you have been in the training industry longer than any CEOs have been in HRDC. So, another step, another day. Sooner or later, you will understand what I mean. And I'll leave that last puzzle for you to solve.
So we have to bring Jega back again to just decode that. I think probably one of the next books you will have to write a book like that on decoding Jega or decoding that. GD says everyone knows that missing step is always the next. Okay, so we will leave tonight with what Jega said. Just one more step another day, and I think that will be a good way for us to brace life and what is to come, whether in the training industry, whether with this whole COVID-19 thing still lurking around behind us, even though the media doesn't talk about it anymore. It's still there, guys. So yeah, keep safe. And nice to have all of you joining us today. It was lovely to have you, Jega. Thank you so much for
Thank you. Thank you
agreeing
so much, Cheryl,
to
for
have this chat
inviting.
with me. Hopefully, we finally meet and have a time to actually sit down and chat
Yeah,
longer
we
than
should. We should.
the five ten
Correct.
minutes we had at the conference. So, good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Jega, I will see you backstage here.
Okay,
Good
bye.
night. Bye, everyone. See you next month.